Hello, today I'm going to talk to you about the process of creating these finger puppets. This is for the class Sew Felted Kitty Cat Finger Puppet Friends on outschool. So, inside of the package, here's what we will find. There's a little note and it says, "Hello, meow. Please be very careful with these materials. The felting needles in the foam are very sharp. Keep the materials together for our class. I can't wait." This is a pattern. You can cut it out. You can use some of the extra felt that you were given, and you can cut out additional finger puppets. You could do cats or you could do another animal. You could make your own pattern. You will also need scissors. So scissors are, I believe, the only thing that's not in the kit that you will need from home. So let's take a look at what is in the kit. This is foam. This is what you're going to felt on. You need this foam because you don't want to felt directly on a table. That will break the felting needles, okay? These are the felting needles. You're going to do your needle felting on top of the foam. This way, you will not break a felting needle. Always put your felting needles back into the foam when you're not using them. Do not leave them sitting on the table. If they fall off the table and you step on them, that will hurt. And this way, you'll know where to find them. You'll also find 2 pieces of felt of one color and 2 pieces of felt in another color, cut to the kitty cat finger puppet pattern. Now, inside of this little baggie, you are going to find an artist trading card, and it has a number of things on it. It has the 2 colors of sewing thread that will match the felt that you chose, and there will also be fishing line. That's that black stuff on the top that can be used for whiskers. And then there's a needle threader, which is a button with some wire on it, and it has 2 needles on it. One is the embroidery needle, and one is the sewing needle. You're also going to find 2 pipe cleaners or chenille stems that are as close as possible to the colors that you chose. Now you can use some of these to put inside of your finger puppet, inside the arms, so that you can actually pose the arms and you can make your kitty cat hold things or wave or whatever you want. The next thing you're going to find is this little spool, and it has black and white. It's actually crochet thread, but we're going to use it as embroidery floss. And you're going to be able to embroider the mouth and maybe claws if you want onto your cat with this material. In this fun little artist trading card sleeve, there's all sorts of fun stuff. There's little bells you could use for a collar. There's pieces of really cool washi tape, which you could use as a collar. You can use little sequins and rhinestones and little flowers. There's all sorts of little stuff. You can make little toys for your cat with this, or outfits, decorations. Again, whatever you want. In this little package, we have colored wool. This is called wool roving, and there's actually a lot more here than you are going to need for this project. So you're going to have extra, and you can be creative with it. So I have added a big variety of colors, and this will give you some options. This wool actually came from Esther's Place, and it is run by an artist by the name of Natasha Lehrer Lewis, and she's a friend of mine, and she actually grows the sheep. She shears them. It is sent off to be cleaned and carded, and then she dyes it and sells it in her shop. Now, I bet you wonder why there's a toothbrush and a pointy wooden stick in your kit. And these are actually to help you stay safe. So you are going to hold your felt down with the toothbrush and with this pointy wooden stick. Next up, we have this little container of felt scraps. You are going to be able to use these to stuff your kitty cat's head. So now that you understand why all of those materials are included in your kit, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I have here a drawing of a kitty cat face, and you can see that it's very simple. And these two lines going up on the mouth make the cat look happy. There's not one right way to create the face of your cat, but I'm going to show you a simple example. So I'm going to start out with some white roving, and you can just pull a little tuft off, just pull it apart. And I am going to make this into a ball, and I'm going to felt it into the pink cat to create eyes. You can treat wool the way that you would treat clay. So you can actually roll it. You can see here that I am rolling the wool in the palm of my hand to make it into a ball. I've taken 2 pieces of wool roving and created 2 wool balls the same size. So these are going to be the eyes. So what we don't want to do is we do not want to put our fingers in front of the felting needle. Here, my fingers are a little too close to that felting needle. So what you want to do is pick up that wooden stylus stick or the toothbrush and hold on to your piece that way. Keep your fingers out of the way. When you're holding onto your felt with either your toothbrush or your pointy wooden stylus stick, you can start poking at the wool roving. And when you do this, when you poke at it with that felting needle, there's little barbs in that felting needle, and it is going to bind the wool to the felt underneath. Now, this video is in slow-mo, but you can do it pretty quickly. You can poke, and you're going to have to do it quite a few times to get it to bind to the felt, and you can shape it as you're going. So you can poke at different parts of the felt to actually shape that wool roving. It's almost like you are moving paint on paper, but what you're doing is you're moving the wool on the felt. Try using the toothbrush as well. You can actually poke right through the toothbrush bristles, which is really convenient. So the toothbrush bristles grab onto the felt and they hold onto it so that you can keep your fingers out of there. And then you can do your needle felting. I decided to use the nice royal blue roving for the eye. So I am making it into a ball, and I'm going to felt it right on top of the white. And this is going to have a really nice contrast from the fuchsia cat body. All right, I'm going to speed things up here a little bit, but when you're doing this, you're going to want to be patient, think about what you're doing, and really take your time and do your best job. Okay, I have my 2 eyes down. Now I am going to pick out a color for my little nose, and I think I'm going to do black. I wouldn't want to do pink just because I don't think it's going to show up very well. And I think I really do want it to show up. So I'm going to take a little bit of black. I'm going to make a little ball. And I am going to turn this into more of a triangular shape. And I'm going to do that with the felting needle. So there we go. And it looks, again, a little too big, but it's going to get smaller. So I'm going to tack it in place first. And then I'm going to start shaping it. Okay, there we go. Now, I do want it to look like a triangle, so I'm going to pull this corner of felt this way. I'm gonna pull this corner of felt this way, and I'm going to felt it into a triangular shape. So I'm gonna pull this up to make it look like a triangle. So you can manipulate the shape of the wool, and you can kind of tug it into place. So it's looking more triangular now. It's a little lopsided. It might end up being a little lopsided. The whole thing is a little lopsided. That's all right. You know what? It's gonna make it have more character, and it's gonna make it cute. So it's okay. Everything doesn't have to be perfect, and nothing I ever do is perfect anyway. It's always the way I do things, I don't know. It's a little wonky, and you know what? I'm just gonna embrace it. I like it that way. It's cute. Okay, so here I go. Again, I am being so careful not to get my fingers in there. You don't want to get your fingers in front of that needle. It will make you bleed. So you have to be extremely careful. It is no joke. Kind of like when you're using a power saw, you don't get your fingers near there. You need to respect things that are sharp and the damage that they can do. So you might be tempted to get in there and hold it and poke. Don't do it. Safety first. It's very important when you're doing art that you keep yourself safe. Okay, I like that. I think it looks cute. And now I'm ready for my next step, which is embroidery. So what is embroidery? Embroidery is sewing, drawing with thread. I'm gonna put away my wool for now. I'm gonna be using this again for my other cat, and I'm gonna have a lot extra, as you can see. But I'm gonna put it away just to kind of keep things neat. I am now going to thread my needle. Here are my needles. I'm gonna pull my needle threader out. Now, this needle threader, I made this for you. This needle threader is just very thin wire in a loop. Do you see that? And then there's a button. The reason the button is there is so that you do not lose the little piece of wire because it's so small, okay? And now there are two needles. They look the same, right? They're not. One has a bigger eye, okay? The eye is the little hole in the needle, and one of these has a bigger eye than the other. So you might get a different sewing needle. This is the sewing needle, and this is the embroidery needle. I bought a big variety pack of needles when I made these kits. So some of you are gonna get a different size sewing needle. That's not that important. The one that you get will work for sewing. So what you're gonna do, actually I'm gonna put my other needle in the tape so I don't lose it. Okay, it's really easy to lose a needle. And somebody once told me it's bad luck to put a needle on the table. And it is bad luck. You know why? Because then it falls off the table and you step on it, and that's bad luck. So never put a needle on a table. Always put it somewhere secure, okay? All right, so what I'm gonna do to thread this needle using my needle threader, yours might look a little different, is I'm gonna put the loop of wire through the eye of the needle, okay? Do you see that? So I'm gonna take this. I'm actually going to take it from here instead of taking it from my example. And I just need about 2 feet of this black thread. So 2 feet would be the same as your package twice. 1, 2. You could also use a ruler. It doesn't have to be exactly 2 feet. You don't have to measure it with a ruler. 2 feet is probably more than you will need. Okay, I'm gonna put the thread, the embroidery thread, through the wire. Okay, you see that? Now I'm gonna hold on to the button and I'm just gonna pull the needle off the wire, and look, Dun, 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 dun. The needle is threaded. So this is a really easy way to thread a needle using a needle threader, okay? A lot of times needle threaders will come in sewing kits and they usually look like a little piece of metal. I've just made it a slightly different way. Same thing. Here's another way to thread a needle. You can pull the thread, so all you see is one little dot. Do you see that? One little dot sticking out. And then take your eye of your needle and go, boop, put it right on top and pull. So that is gonna look really easy for me because I have done it so many times. I've practiced so much that it is easy for me. When you do something so many times, it does become easy. Okay, here is how to tie a knot, okay? You're gonna take your thread and you're gonna cross it over like that. See how it looks kind of like a fish? And then you're gonna push this under and pop it through and pull. And you have a knot. Now, I'm gonna do it again to make a double knot. And I'm gonna kind of aim the knot so it lands on the same place. So it's a bigger knot. And now I'm going to start sewing this kind of a design, okay? You can draw it out first if you want to, or you don't have to. So here, let's look at these. This one's a little different. This one has quite a few stitches. It's a very happy looking cat. You could even make two faces. You could make two different faces on both sides of your felt. If maybe you want to make a scared cat and a happy cat, or a sad cat and a happy cat, whatever. Do what you want to do. Here's how you sew. Here's how you draw with thread or embroider. I have my needle and I'm going to stick my needle right there. I'm going to come up from the back. So there we go. See that? I'm going to pull it and then I'm just going to make a little stitch. And you're actually drawing with thread. Aww, look at that. Okay, I'm gonna do another one. And I'm gonna go right in where the last stitch ended. Uh-oh, it looped. If it loops like that, just pull on the two pieces of thread on the back. Doesn't wanna come. Come on. Oh, it's this one. There we go. Okay. Now I'm ready to do this part. Do you see how this looks happy? This looks sad. Just by changing the angle of two lines, it has a completely different expression on its face. So you can decide how you want to do yours. I'm gonna make it happy. So I'm gonna push it up through here and boom. No, there we go. Okay, so this is so far only 3 stitches. Poke it up again and poke it through here. There we go. Look at that. It is a little cute happy cat. Now I think I want to make it a little happier. So I'm going to make the smile bigger. I'm going to make an additional stitch on this side. Oh, get out of there. Aww. And then I'm going to even it out over here. Here we go. And, oh, look at that. It looks like a very happy cat. Looks like my happy cat, Nina. Okay. Uh-oh, I forgot to do the little ears with felt. I can go back and do that. Now, this is finished. I could, with my extra thread, I could make some little claws if I wanted to. And I think I will. I will show you that. First, I'm going to make sure I didn't get through there. I'm gonna tie a knot. So I went through the yarn and I'm tying a knot. I'll show you that again. I just went through some of my stitches on the back. I didn't go through the felt. I didn't go through the pink felt. I'm putting it through the loop. I'm pulling it, and then I have a nice knot. So this is secure. Okay, now I think I will make some claws. I'm gonna leave this a little bit loose. And I'm just gonna go around. There's one claw. There's another claw. I'm gonna go through here. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go through this second stitch for the last one. And then you can move them around a little bit with your nail to get them in the place where you want them. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm gonna tie a knot. So I'm gonna go through this stitch. And I made a knot. Okay. And then I'm putting it where I want it. Now I'm gonna go over to this side. And I'm gonna make 3 little claws. Can you hear those dogs barking? They just bark all day long, you guys. It's really annoying. Okay. And 3. We live close to the center of the town where we live. So there's a lot of noises. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie a knot now to secure this. I'm gonna go through this stitch and then through here and tie a knot. And boop, there's a knot. Okay, so now I have 3 claws on each side. Ooh, that's a little loose. Okay, I'm gonna manipulate it with my needle. I'm gonna pull it over and I'm gonna put those stitches where I want them. Okay, now this is done. So I used almost all of my 2 feet of black embroidery floss, but I did a lot of extra, right? I did those claws. So you don't necessarily have to do the claws. I just wanted to show you that. Okay, this is going in the garbage because it's so small. I'm not gonna be able to use this for anything immediately. I'm gonna throw it away. Okay, I'm gonna go back in. First of all, I'm gonna put my needle away. I don't wanna lose that. And then I'm gonna go back in and I'm gonna felt the inside of the ears. Okay, now you have a pipe cleaner, okay? Now, it is probably close to the color of your felt, but it might not be exact. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a little piece, and I'm not gonna use my best scissors for this because it can wreck your scissors. And I'm going to cut this exact size, or pretty close, to the arms. So there we go. This is gonna go inside of the puppet. I can use this for whatever I want. There's a lot extra. I can use it for a tail. Now, since it's not the same color, I'm gonna try to make it the same color using some markers. So this is pink and this is like a purpley color. So I'm gonna do this. So you see, you have to experiment. You have to see what happens. Ooh, look at that. You can draw with a Sharpie. You can draw with a Sharpied chenille stem, aka pipe cleaner. Look at that. Ooh, isn't that neat? What could you do that for? This opens up new possibilities. See, sometimes you create something by accident. You discover something by accident that you can use in your other artwork. Okay, so there we go. That's colored. It's about the same color. It's not exact. That's okay. All right, so I'm gonna make this a tail later on. I'm gonna put that to the side, let it dry, put away my Sharpies. It's good to clean up as you go. It's good to keep your work area neat. Okay, now I am gonna start sewing. Now you're gonna have some thread here that is close to the color of your felt. This is where I got all that string from. That's pretty close. From here to here is 12 inches. I recommend that you use 4 or 4.5 or 5 feet of thread. Okay, so I'm gonna take my sewing needle now. My sewing needle has the smaller eye, and I'm gonna thread my needle. So here's how I do that. Again, I'm gonna put my needle threader through the eye of the needle. Here's my thread that I have cut. You can use 4 or 5 feet. And I'm gonna put the thread through the wire. I'm gonna lick it to make it less frayed. Oh, I can't get it through. There we go. And then I'm gonna pull the needle off, and voila! My needle's threaded. Okay, so I am now going to make the ends meet. There we go. And I'm gonna tie a knot. So here's how I tie a knot. I am going to make a loop. It looks like a little fish. I'm gonna pop the 2 ends under and pull it tight. And there's a knot. I'm gonna make a double knot. So I'm gonna make 2 knots, and I'm gonna make the second knot land right on top of the first one. I'm gonna push it. There we go. Okay. You're gonna have 2 to 2.5 feet of sewing length, and that'll go all the way around. Okay. All right. Now, here is my little cat. I don't want this little string to be sticking out, so I'm just gonna tuck it in. Okay, so I'm putting them on top of each other and making sure they meet up. And I'm gonna start right here, under the armpit. So I'm gonna pull this through. And then I'm going to do a whip stitch. So I'm gonna stitch around the edge like this. This is a whip stitch because it kind of whips around. See how that works? I'm gonna bring my thread over here, and then I'm gonna stick it through. Boop. See my nice little stitches? And here's what it looks like on the edge. You barely see them. You see them a little bit, and I think they look cute. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna whip around with my whip stitch. And I am pulling it tight, but I'm not pulling it too tight. I don't want it to pucker. I don't want this to get squeezed in. Here we go. Oh, there's a little loop. I'm just gonna pull both ends to even that out. And I'm gonna do one more stitch here on this edge. Okay, there we go. Now, I don't have anywhere to go because I'm not gonna sew this edge. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna pull this thread up. I'm gonna stick it through here. I'm gonna go back up to here. And I'm not gonna pull. There we go, okay? I'm just gonna pull enough so that the thread is this length, but I'm not gonna pull it tight and make it pucker, okay? I don't want it to bunch up. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna sew the arm. So I'm sewing the underside of the arm, and it's the same way. It's just whip stitch. Oh, let's see. This way, this time I'm taking the needle from the back to the front. You can do it whichever way is easier for you, and that might change depending on what area you are sewing. Oh, it went around. I'm just gonna pick it up and move it. Go over there. There you go. Okay. Get this out of the way. Gonna keep going. Keep on sewing. All the way around. I probably just need 3 little stitches here on the end of this little paw. And do you see that black thread? I want that to get inside of there. So here I go. I'm gonna whip stitch around the top of the arm or paw. Oh, it got caught. Just tell it where you want it to go. All right, there we go. Now, I'm gonna be putting this pipe cleaner in here. So I can just lift this up, I can put it in. Oh, it's poking out. This might be a little too long. I might need to trim it. I can see that I do. Okay, that's gonna be fine. All right, it doesn't actually have to go in there yet, but I am gonna put it in there, and I'm just gonna keep on sewing around my cat's head. Oh. Get over there. I'm gonna poke the felt, that blue felt that's poking out, back in, get in there. Sewing around my ear. Around the top of the head. Now, my thread is starting to get a little bit small. What I want to do is I want to stop right now. Oh, I have a little loop right there. I'm just going to figure out which thread that is by pulling gently on both of these threads until it pops down. There we go. Okay, now I need to end because I need to tie a knot. So stop before you run out so that you can easily tie a knot. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to tie a knot. The reason I ran out of thread is because I actually only had 3 feet of thread. So if you have 4 or 4.5 feet, you should be okay to go all the way around. If you run out the first time, you should have enough to thread a new needle and get all the way around your cat. Here we go, and I'm going to thread this needle. I'm going to make the ends meet, and I'm going to tie a knot. I'm going to tie another knot, and I'm going to make it land right on top of the other one. There we go. And I'm just going to put it right back through here. I'm going to push the tail in. I don't want to see it sticking out. So here I go. I'm going to sew up around this ear. Around the side, I'm going to push the little wool, the little blue wool that's sticking out. I'm going to push it in. I don't want it sticking out. Now, you might poke yourself with the sewing needle at some point. If you do, it's going to hurt just a little tiny bit. You might bleed just a little tiny bit. I have poked myself with many sewing needles. You'll probably be okay. Be careful, but if you do get poked, you will live. Your body will heal itself. Okay, so I'm just gonna sew around. So if you do poke yourself, if there's a little bit of blood, just go to the bathroom, wash your hands with soap, and then continue. Usually it's just one little teeny tiny drop of blood if you do poke yourself. So if it's more than that, if you think it's bad, then call your parents over, okay? And they'll take care of you. Okay, now I'm going to take my little pieces of felt that I have here. I'm going to chop them up. Yours might already be chopped up. Use my good sewing scissors. Ooh, these are the best scissors. I love these scissors. When I was little, my mom had a pair of these Ginger scissors, and I just loved using them. She didn't like to let me use her special sewing scissors, so you know what I did when I grew up? I bought myself my own pair. That was a big deal. Okay, and so you only use sewing scissors for fabric. They're awesome scissors. Okay, now I'm gonna stuff the head with the felt scraps. So I'm gonna push it in there. Now don't do too much, you don't want it to explode. But you can stuff it in there. And you can use your little stick to poke it in. When I don't have a little stick, I use like a pen or a pencil. Just poke it in. Push it around a little bit. Look at that. He's got a stuffed head. Okay, I could do a little more if I wanted to. And if you don't have enough of this, you could even use toilet paper, honestly. You could use whatever. You can use stuffing. They sell stuffing at the store. But you don't really need that. You can just use whatever you have. Okay. Poke that in there. It's always good to repurpose things, to reuse things. That way, if we buy less things at the store, then less things end up going into a landfill. And that's better for our planet. We need to take good care of our planet. Okay. So now the head is stuffed, and I'm going to sew around the edge, the top of the paw. 1, 2, oh, I got around the ear. 3. Oh man. Again. 4. 5. 6. And now I'm going to stick that little pipe cleaner in there. I want it to stay. So I did about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches on the top. 1, 2. It's about 3 stitches on the end of the paw. It's probably going to be about 3 stitches on the bottom of the paw. Making sure that the pipe cleaner's secured inside. And then I'm going to stitch up the end. And I'm just about to run out. Am I going to make it? I'm going to barely make it. Oh my goodness. I'm going to just barely make it. So you might want to do for your second one, you might want to do 3 feet of string. It's pretty tight. Okay, there we go. There is my finished kitty cat. Hello. Okay, now. Oops, I've got a little bit of a loop there. I can go back in and find, where was that loop? And pull it. Okay, and then I want to tie a knot. Now I have barely any string to tie this knot. I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna push it through. I'm gonna come out here. You can tie a knot on the inside and then cut. There we go. And now I have my felted kitty cat finger puppet. Look at that. You can stick your finger inside here. Hello. You can make it move. You can pose it. Its little hands can go together because it has that chenille stem, the little pipe cleaner, inside. You can also attach the little tail if you want. So I could do this. I could poke it through. There it is, poked through. Poke it through a little bit more. And then bend it. And look at that. Now I have a little tail. Make it curve. Look at that. Aw, so cute. All right, have fun making your finger puppet.